A lot of students who are applying for graduate programs have reached out to me inquiring about writing Statement of Purpose, which is often abbreviated as SOP. SOP is of course a very important part of your application, particularly if the graduate program you're applying is research based. For example, if it is Masters by Research or a PhD program. So I thought to make this video in an attempt to hopefully be able to help people in writing SOPs. Now you can find a lot of material on the web on this topic, and my intention behind making this video is to try to simplify writing an SOP for you. Now before proceeding further, just a request to please subscribe to this YouTube channel in order to stay connected and also to get notified of several upcoming related informative videos. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter as well. The links to these social media platforms are provided in the description below, and also you can see them on the screen now. Anyways, coming back to the topic of this video, in my opinion, SOP consists of four main parts broadly. In some cases, the institution where you're applying for might ask about some additional information as well. So of course you need to add or include that information alongside these four parts. But I think that any SOP would definitely consist of the four parts that I'm going to discuss in this video. So let's have a look at these four parts. So the first part of your SOP focuses around providing brief introduction and motivation behind applying to this particular graduate program. So in this part, briefly introduce yourself, giving background information about your academic interests, particularly those that are relevant to this particular graduate program to which you are applying to, and also talk about your motivation behind your choice of applying to this particular graduate program as well. Now it is important that this part should be very short and succinct. So you do not need to include a lot of information in that, and it's not where you will be talking about or describing your autobiography. So it's just a brief introduction, talking about your academic interests and a brief motivation behind applying to your graduate program. The other thing to consider here is that because this is the starting paragraph or the starting part of your SOP, so make sure that it starts on a positive note, and it is not a dull start, because otherwise you run the risk of losing the interest and the attention of your reader, which is of course not good. So perhaps you could try starting it in an interesting manner. It could include starting with a relevant saying or a quote or a related general fact. So make sure that you start it on a very positive note. Then the second part of your SOP describes your academic background. So in this part, provide a summary of your undergraduate and previous graduate career, highlighting your key achievements. In this part, you can talk about any previous related research that you might have done in your career. Here you need to talk about what that research was about. Who did you do that research with? So your supervisor or advisor. And what was your role and contribution in performing that research? And also it's good to talk about any challenges that you might have faced in doing that research and how did you overcome that. And also it's a good time to actually talk about any publications that you might have. So any scholarly achievements, any publications that you might have done in a conference or a journal, or your thesis which you might have done either in undergraduate or previous graduate careers. So this is the part where you talk about them. And in addition to this, in this part you can also talk about any skills that you have developed in your career. So don't just say that you have developed such and such skills, but give some concrete and specific examples for them. Lastly, you can also talk about any work experience, any related work experience that you might have done, and how it helped you to gain knowledge that is related to your graduate program that you're applying to. For example, you might have done an internship that is related to this program, so you can also touch upon that as well. Then in the third part of your SOP, you emphasize and describe how you and your intended graduate program are a good mutual fit. So it provides you an opportunity to convince your reader that how you are the best fit for that graduate program and how this graduate program is best fit for you. Here you need to state your specific area of research interest and show your understanding and knowledge in that area by talking about or discussing related research. And it would be good if you can highlight some specific limitations that you have found in that area of research. So this shows that you already possess a fair bit of understanding in that research area, and also it shows that you are mature as a researcher already. Here I would advise you to explore the web pages of the department and school where you are applying to, because this would enable you to know about their research focus, and then you can link and relate your research interests and your SOP as a whole to the research focus of that department or school. And if there is a particular professor whom you want to work with, then in this part you should actually mention the name of that professor, and again show and align your research interests to the research interests of that professor as well, because this demonstrates that you have done some prior work and preparation before submitting your application to this graduate program. Here you can also talk about some other aspects of this program that have got you interested in applying to it. For example, it could be lab facilities or available data sets or available equipment in that department or school that you think would really aid and facilitate your research. So you can mention that as well. Or perhaps that department offers some collaborative opportunities both internally and externally that you think are a real plus for you if you get a chance to work in that department. So you can talk about that as well in this part. So the last part of your SOP is where you add your concluding remarks. Now it's very important that you end on a positive note as well, highlighting your excitement and keenness in joining this particular graduate program and the challenges it offers. And here you need to say that just joining and completing this particular graduate program is not your ultimate goal, but what you actually intend to do after completing this graduate program and how this graduate program would help you towards the achievements of your future career goals. Hopefully you now have a clear understanding about what the important parts of SOP are. And at the end I would like to share with you some generic tips that I suggest you take into account in when writing your SOP. So the first one is the length of the SOP. So I suggest that the length of your SOP should not be more than 1 to 2 pages. So the standard 11 or 12 font size, if you consider that. So your SOP should not be more than 1 to 2 pages. Now often the word limit is specified by the institution where you are applying to. So of course you must adhere to the word limit when writing your SOP. The second point I would like to emphasize is that your SOP should bring out a lot of positivity, and it should definitely not be a dull read. Instead it should be a nice read for your assessor. So you should try to make the life of your assessor easier by ensuring that the SOP is nice and coherent. Then another point I would like to emphasize here is that your SOP will be read by experts, which are often professors. So you should actually include some relevant terminologies and keywords in your SOP, because this shows that you have already a fair bit of understanding or a background in the graduate program that you're applying to. Then the next thing I would emphasize is that get your SOP reviewed by ideally 2 to 3 people who have already gone through this process successfully, because what this does is that this would enable you to know what the shortcomings in your document are, and if you address them, then it would definitely improve and refine your SOP further. Finally, make sure that there are no typos or grammatical errors in your SOP, So get it proofread properly, please. At the end, I would say that if you have found this video useful, then please subscribe to this YouTube channel for more updates. And as I said earlier, you can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter as well. All the best with your application, and take care of yourself and others.